countdown.
We're done.
Now we're with the State Fair Board, and Buck, if you could introduce yourself and your colleagues, and then make whatever presentation you'd like to make.
Thank you. Buck Dozier, Executive Director, State Fairgrounds. On my right is Ken Sanders. On my left is Doug Peters, new CFO. This is Doug's first meeting, so he's nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof, I think. But we told him he'd make it through it. If I could, just for a moment, kind of give you a quick overview of what's going on at the fairgrounds. The best thing we've got going this year is our revenues have finished pretty strong. Parking has been extremely good. When we instituted parking, it's actually been a savior for us. Our corporate sales revenues are up, and the flea market sales are up. Just to give you an example of the flea market, in March last year, we had 1,300 vendors. This year, we had 1,600, and that has shown the same in January and February. In January and February in December are usually our slow months, but even all those months showed a tremendous increase. Christmas Village this year had a extremely strong, their record year. Lawn and Garden had a record year as well. So things have really going very well out there at this point. State Fair, just to give you just a quick comment, is still struggling a little bit in terms of bringing in revenues. They were about 100 and some odd people down from last year, but they're trying to make up for that. Racing, we just signed a new contract with them. Their attendance is fairly stabilized in the last couple of years. The challenge for the racing up there is the upkeep of the track. It's getting older and so forth, and then there's going to be some dealing with some of the issues dealing with that track in the long run. I brought with me today, and we'll give you a copy. I don't think you'll have a copy to show you how basically things are going out there. We have actually 13 new events that have booked for this year. Among those are the Soul Food Festival, the Rabbit Supper, which is this Thursday night. The Music City Barbecue, which was downtown, is moving out there in August. And so that just gives you a sampling of the 13 new events and shows, and we're still booking. And the other thing is we have 7 shows that have returned to the fairgrounds that we lost a number of years ago. They are returning. The Nashville Drum Show, the Comic and Horror Exposition, Perennial Plant Sale, they're all coming back. And some of these are multiple bookings. They don't come one time. One of them comes 9 times when we have the cart races and so forth. That's all due, I think, Mayor, to compliment our employees, corporate sales, Steve Burton and Deborah Dornan in our flea market, and our maintenance staff. We really don't call them maintenance because they're operational. They don't do much maintenance. They during set up and tear down all the time in events. And so things have we've had a very good year, and this probably is going to be the best year in terms of revenues that we've had out there in a long, long time. The basic challenge we have, Mayor, out there is aging of our buildings, of course, but we're trying to address those, and we appreciate the help y'all gave us this year on that as well. So with that, we'll be asking again in the budget for a subsidy, but that's contingent because we actually believe, and we're conservative in this, that we will not have to ask for that subsidy when the year ends in the next budget. We think that if we get the marketing person and with the increase of these shows and so forth, we will not have to ask for a subsidy.
That's great news. Congratulations. The annex building was being renovated. How is that going, or is it finished?
It is finished, sir, and the best thing about that is it came in time for Lawn and Garden Show, which needed the space, and the reason it's important to us because that's rentable space, and that increases our revenues when it was blown down by a storm. So it's finished and ready to go.
Okay. And then, so basically the parking's up, flea market's up, fair down slightly.
Slightly, yes. They were about 100 in terms of attendance this year.
And then racing stabilized.
Yeah, racing attendance-wise, I think is stable. Mr. Formosa has had it in the last couple of years, and that's, I think, been helpful that we've had the same person over the racing community that for a while we were changing all the time because of various circumstances. So it's stabilized some.
Okay. And what's the average attendance for that?
I would say around 3,000. They have one big race every year, which brings in the American 400. That'll bring in a few more. But on the average 7 races that he'll be having this year, he'll average between 2,500 and 3,000.
Okay. And how are the issues with the neighborhood?
They're good. We meet monthly. Mr. Formosa has done a great job of mufflers and things that have helped the noise out there. Once in a while, we had a little blip the other day because we kind of switched a time period a little bit because of bad weather coming in, and we got one complaint, but that was resolved quickly with the neighborhood. Again, we meet monthly, and that's going very well.
Okay.
I might say racing also is doing an excellent job with the school over there right across the street. He's got all kind of awards for good grades and good behavior, and they get to come to the race, and they get to sit in the race car and do all those kind of things. So they've done a good job with the school children.
Good. Okay, Greg, you got any?
Like you mentioned, you expected maybe this year, if everything breaks right, to not need a subsidy. Do you remember off the top of your head what the revenue number is for next year? What are you projecting? Total revenue? Do you remember?
$2,3.2, isn't it? Yeah, 3.2.
Okay.
In that ballpark.
Got it. Thanks.
Well, that's good news. Is that even with the additions? If you get the additions, you still think you break even? Because you've asked for a couple $100,000 worth of improvements.
Yes. Sure do.
But you did ask for a subsidy in the budget request, right? There's a number down.
Yes.
There. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good. Well, thank you.
Sure, you're
Thanks for being here early. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.